A lot of people think they'll come out ahead 30 years after owning a house, and there's good reason for that. After 30 years, your mortgage is paid off, your home has likely more than doubled in value. That's the reason home ownership is so appealing. In this example, I'm using median assumptions: a $400,000 house, 4% mortgage, a 7% down payment, and the home appreciating in value 3.5% per year. Now, looking at this, home ownership appears to be a fantastic investment. Your loan balance shrinks, your home value grows, your equity builds, and you're left with a huge chunk of equity at the end of 30 years. But is that the whole story? Only if the mortgage is the only thing you pay. Each year you own that house, you're going to be paying property taxes, utilities, insurance. In a few minutes, we're going to run that same race again, but with all the expenses. I think you're going to find that the outcome is going to be very different. First up, PMI, or private mortgage insurance. If you put less than 20% down, lenders typically require it. In this example, I'm estimating it at about 0.8% of the remaining loan balance, and it goes away once you reach 20% equity. Because we're starting with a 7% down payment and the home is appreciating over time, PMI only sticks around for the first 3 years. Even so, it adds up to about $8,600. Next up, property taxes. A common rule of thumb is about 1% of the home's value per year, although this varies quite a bit depending on where you live. One reason property taxes often fly under the radar is that they're usually bundled into your monthly mortgage payment. So you are paying them, but you might not think of them as a separate cost. For a medium home, that comes up to roughly $200,000 over 30 years. Next is something people don't really look at as adding up over time, and that's utilities. You're going to heat, cool, and power your home every single day for the next 30 years. The exact cost varies a lot, but let's start it at about $5,000 per year and assume costs rise about 4% annually. By the end of 30 years, you've spent about $280,000 on utilities. Next up, home insurance. For a typical home, let's assume $2,500 per year, rising roughly 4% annually over time. Over 30 years, that's about $140,000. Next up, HOA fees, home ownership association fees. Not every home has an HOA, but a lot do. In fact, roughly 1 in 3 homes in the US are part of an HOA, with a median cost of about $2,400 a year. So to keep this representative of a typical home, I'm going to apply that proportion to the calculation. It works out roughly to $45,000 over 30 years. Next up, maintenance. A common rule of thumb is about 1.5% of the home's value each year going towards maintenance. This covers everything from the roof, boiler, HVAC, appliances, landscaping, driveway. For our median home, it starts at about $6,000 and rises over time as the home value increases. Over 30 years, you're looking at about $300,000. Now let's stack all of these expenses together over the next 30 years and see what happens. At the 30-year mark, our median house is now worth just over $1 million, but your total expenses come to about $1.6 million, with a gap of almost $550,000. That's a pretty big number, and it's in the red. You probably thought you'd be in the green after 30 years with so much home appreciation. This does not mean buying a home is a mistake, but it does mean that a home shouldn't be looked at as making you money. Home ownership isn't just a financial transaction. It's also about privacy, stability, control, the ability to paint the walls, plant a tree, build a workshop, raise a family, or simply have a place that feels like yours. Pride of ownership. Once you understand the full math behind it, something important happens. You stop guessing and you start deciding. And that's where better financial outcomes can start. If you found this useful so far, more financial breakdowns coming soon on this channel, then please
like and subscribe.
Now, let's see what would happen if we decided to buy 5% less house. So instead of $400,000, we're going to be looking at a $380,000 home. Because nearly every cost we've looked at scales with home value, this also reduces annual expenses by about 5% across the board. By year 30, this slightly smaller home is worth $1,030,000, slightly less than our median home. Total costs also come in slightly less at $1,548,000. That leaves total outflows of not $544,000, but only $517,000. Here's the interesting part. That's a reduction, but not just in the purchase price. It carries through the entire 30-year financial picture. So what happens if we push this a little bit further? If we can save money buying 5% house, what about a 25% less house? Again, we apply the same scaling, 25% less expenses across the board. By the end of 30 years, of course, your home is worth less. It's only $800,000. Total costs are also less, $1.2 million. Total outflows are reduced to $408,000. This is almost exactly a 25% reduction in outflows across the board. You're reducing your entire financial footprint of homeownership. That means less money tied up in housing, more monthly flexibility, more room for unexpected expenses, more capacity to invest or travel or retire early. So this wasn't exactly bigger house versus smaller house. This was to show you how much of your money gets locked up in your home versus how much remains free to invest elsewhere. Home size, even though it's a lifestyle choice, it's also a financial strategy variable. Home ownership isn't good or bad. It's a trade-off between stability, control, and financial flexibility. If you found this useful, I'll keep breaking down financial decisions like this. Subscribe if you want more.